Hey guys, you're watching Tech Edit. My name is Basil and this is the Huawei Pura X. It is without a doubt the weirdest phone I've used in a long time, but it's also the best at selfies and it's the most interesting phone as well. The reason is the camera strip above the front display looks very different and interesting, but it functions beautifully if you want to take selfies across a wide, ultra wide and telephoto cameras. Then obviously you've got that inner screen. When you unfold it, it's a 16:10 aspect ratio and it's great for movies. But Huawei does some interesting things. It forces you to hold it this way when it's closed and tall when it's open. The screen orientation is locked, and that's both cool, incredibly frustrating, very confusing in your first few hours with the phone, and ultimately I think both a strength and weakness of it. I'm going to dive into all the details in a second, but before I do, if you're not already subscribed to Tech Edit, please do. It's how you stay on top of everything I do. It helps me out like crazy, and also while you're at it, ding that like button on this video. It would very much appreciate it. Right. The Huawei Pura X. On the front, you've got that 3.5-inch cover screen. Usually with foldables like flip phones, the cameras are below the cover screen, and that actually makes it pretty awkward for selfies because your thumb can get in the way. Even your palm can kind of just like creep in front of an ultra wide every now and then. But with this, the camera's being at the top, it steers very clear of your hand. What's also noteworthy is the fact you have a full camera suite on here, a wide, ultra wide and telephoto. We haven't seen that on a flip style foldable, if you can even call this one of those, since the Oppo Find N3. The camera strip being a strip as opposed to a round circle means you can also get a larger screen on here. And I really do like it. On first impression, you can do a lot on this cover screen. It doesn't run Android. I'll come on to Huawei's operating system, HarmonyOS, in a little bit, but it feels and looks and functions very similar to a familiar Android phone experience. On the left-hand side, you've got the hinge with the Huawei insignia. Around the right side is the power button and fingerprint scanner, and also on the bottom half, you've got the SIM slot and the loudspeaker. Now, the power button fingerprint scanner is interesting. When you come to set it up for the first time, you have to put both your thumbprint and your index fingerprint, and the reason is Huawei locks the screen aspect ratio. When it's like this, it's locked to kind of this portrait style orientation, but when you open it, it forces you into portrait style orientation again. You typically on a foldable have it unlock into, or unfold, sorry, into a landscape orientation. But because of that, that takes the fingerprint scanner to the top. So your index finger has to climb over and press it. And you saw I just double tapped the fingerprint scanner and it fired up the camera. You can assign some really cool shortcuts that really help with making this such a selfie-tastic phone. I'm going to close the phone up again to finish navigating the device. And on the right side, when it's closed, is the USB charging port, USB-C port, and around the back, depending on which version you get, I have the special edition. You can get a standard version with a glass back. I have a vegan leather back with some cool Art Deco-y style coloring to it. And because of the different textures of the panels around the back, one's just standard vegan leather, one has vertical lines, one has horizontal lines. It adds a really interesting grip and texture. So I really do like the finish on this version. Open it up, and like I said, you're forced into portrait mode. You're forced into holding it tall, and that's wide. Even though this is a small phone, and I have to stress this was a smaller phone in the flesh than I thought it would be. In fact, when you hold it wide with a 16:10 aspect ratio, it is a stretch for smaller hands. I have giant hands, so the whole thing actually feels quite diddy and dinky, and I like it. But yeah, then you use your index finger to unlock the phone by reaching to the top, and there's no rotating in sight. You go into the menu and rotation lock is already off, but it's not going to rotate. So that's for things like when you're watching video, and video looks fantastic on here. But I didn't talk about this phone as being the best video phone when I introed it. I talked about it being the best selfie phone. So that really is all about the closed experience. Selfies are pretty awkward when open. You can use the cover screen as a preview, but I don't know why you do this. What you do want to do, however, is this. Just double tap the power button. You don't even have to press it. the front screen will fire up, and then you can press the volume button to take a quick selfie. And selfies are taken very quickly. Huawei's photo processing using that larger main sensor, I'll come onto the camera specs in a bit, does a really great job of pulling out a good amount of detail. This could be a really great vlogging phone as well. I took some video, I'll play that in a little bit. So the ergonomics just work beautifully for selfies. So while I don't anticipate the Huawei Pura X will be launching outside China with this HarmonyOS that it's got, not Android, you can't install APKs on here, this style, this form factor design is definitely something other manufacturers should be looking at. As the price of foldable components goes down, I can see someone like a TCL, heck even a Samsung, doing this without charging the earth. The other reason I think that is because while this phone is very cool, it doesn't really break any boundaries in terms of technology as far as I can tell. It's not super thin, it's not crazy light for a flip phone, and it's just a mix of things that have been shaken up and put together in a different way to what we're used to, and it does definitely meet a need. It isn't perfect. I do find it awkward when I have to flip from portrait to landscape orientation, but there definitely is something there. As far as the cameras go, you've got a 50 megapixel main camera with a wide, fast f1.6 aperture and OIS, so it does a really decent job. Videos at night, portrait style videos. Portrait mode does also add to that bokeh, but even without it, you can get depth separation, which is great. You also have a 40 megapixel ultra wide and a 8 megapixel telephoto, which is 3.5x, and it has OIS as well. So the camera mix is absolutely good enough, and you've also got a selfie camera on the inside. So if you want to do part folded video calls, etc., you can do that, although you may also be able to do that this way. I don't know. I don't think so, because the screen just does not want to rotate this way. Huawei's really forcing you to do it like that. So maybe you have to hold it like, I don't know. Either way, like I said, I think it is a bit too locked down in that respect for me personally on my first impression, but still super interesting. Back to the camera, and I'm not going to do a review of it. Here are a few samples I took, and it's absolutely good enough. Leans heavily on AI like a lot of Chinese phones do, so it can redraw some elements, but it really is just such a novelty getting this hardware, and paired with decent cameras as well. I really loved taking selfies on it. Given the phone isn't actually that thin, it's 15.1 millimeters when closed and 7.2 millimeters when open, I'm not surprised Huawei was able to fit a decent sized battery in here, around 4,700 milliamps. So I found using the front screen for the day, it really comfortably lasted a full day. It's also worth noting, I couldn't get APKs on here, I couldn't get WhatsApp on here, I couldn't get Spotify on here, so I did not use this like my main phone. I am here in China, very limited access to Western services, but based on the specs and based on my first day with it, you can definitely expect good battery life on this thing. And if anyone emulates this form factor, or if Huawei releases it outside China, it should definitely last a while. And you've also got fast charging as well, and there's wireless charging too, so it doesn't drop any flagship balls per se. It runs with a Kirin 9020 chipset, so this is not going to be a gaming powerhouse by any means. And it also runs HarmonyOS 5, which means you don't get Android, you don't get APK installs, so you can't sideload applications on here. So your game selection is going to be limited, maybe not in China, but for Western audiences. And with all of that in mind, I'm impressed that it all feels and looks so smooth. It's going to be, like I said at the beginning of the video, super familiar to anyone with an Android phone. You have on the right-hand side, pull down from the top, your quick toggles. Pull down from the left-hand side, you've got your notifications. There's a screen to the left of the home screen, which has some key information on it. And you've got your icons on your home screen that you can move around and resize freely. So there's nothing really standout that differentiates it from Android from the day-to-day user experience. But what this does do is it opens Huawei up to greater integration with its own services here in China, be that electric vehicles, wearables, etc. What that means for the rest of the world, we will have to wait and see. As we probably all know, Huawei phones have struggled over the last few years in the West because of limited access to Google Play services and also limited availability. So while Huawei is definitely the brand that's pushing the envelope when it comes to design, think of the Mate XT, for example, and this, I can't see this phone launching in the US, for example, where you won't even be able to buy it for sure because Huawei doesn't trade there. But what I can see is this really putting a big question mark over the established way foldables are currently made, and hopefully encouraging other phone makers to try something different. So what do you think of the Huawei Pura X? Does this selfie-tastic phone make you want to just hold it up and pose, or is it just a bit of a gimmick that's trying to stand out for the sake of it? I definitely feel like I'm somewhere in the middle, but I'm leaning more towards thinking this is cool and applauding Huawei for trying something different and making a lot work. Let me know in the comments if you like this video. Please do click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel to stay on top of everything that I do. Thanks for watching.